you get an answer?
No.
You still don't have an answer?
No.
You know, we had heard the world, those of us out here reading the things or hearing the things, that it was you and Harry who didn't want Archie to have a prince title. So you're telling me that is not true?
No, it's not our decision to make, right? Even though I have a lot of clarity on what comes with the titles, good and bad, and from my experience, a lot of pain. I again wouldn't wish pain on my child, but that is their birthright to then make a choice about.
Okay, so it feels to me like things started to change when you and Harry decided that you were not going to take the picture that had been a part of the tradition for years. And
we weren't asked to take a picture. That's also part of the spin that was really damaging. I thought, can you just tell them the truth? Can you say to the world, you're not giving him a title, and we want to keep him safe, and that if he's not a prince, then it's not part of the tradition? Just tell people, and then they'll understand. But they wouldn't do that.
But you both obviously were aware that that had been a part of the tradition, and was there a specific reason why you didn't want to be a part of that tradition? I think many people interpret that as you were both saying, we're going to do things our way, and we're going to do things in a different way.
That's not it at all. I mean, I think what was really hard, so picture, now that you know what was going on behind the scenes, right? There's a lot of fear surrounding it. I was very scared of having to offer up our baby, knowing that they weren't going to be kept safe.
You certainly must have had some conversations with Harry about it and have your own suspicions as to why they didn't want to make Archie a prince. What are those thoughts? Why do you think that is? Do you think it's because of his race? And I know that's a loaded question, but
I can give you an honest answer. In those months when I was pregnant, all around the same time, so we had in tandem the conversation of, he won't be given security, he's not going to be given a title. And also concerns and conversations about how dark his skin might be when he's born.
What?
And
who is having that conversation with you? What?
So,
there's a conversation. Hold on.
There's several conversations.
There's a conversation with you?
With Harry.
About how dark your baby is going to be?
Potentially, and what that would mean or look like.
And you're not going to tell me who had the conversation?
I think that would be very damaging to them.
Okay. So how does one have that meeting?
That was relayed to me from Harry. Those were conversations that family had with him. And I think it was really hard to be able to see those as compartmentalized
Was there a
conversations.
concern that if he were to frown, that would be a problem? Are you saying that?
I wasn't able to follow up with why, but if that's the assumption you're making, I think that feels like a pretty safe one. Which is really hard to understand, right? Especially when, look, the Commonwealth is a huge part of the monarchy, and I lived in Canada, which is a Commonwealth country, for 7 years, but it wasn't until Harry and I were together that we started to travel through the Commonwealth. I would say 60-70% of which is people of color, right? And growing up as a woman of color, as a little girl of color, I know how important representation is. I know how you want to see someone who looks like you in certain positions. Even Archie, we read these books, and now there's one line, and one goes, if you can see it, you can be it. And he goes, you can be it. And I think about that so often, especially in the context of these young girls, but even grown women and men who, when I would meet them in our time in the Commonwealth, how much it meant to them to be able to see someone who looks like them in this position. And I could never understand how it wouldn't be seen as an added benefit and a reflection of the world today, at all times, but especially right now, to go, how inclusive is that you can see someone who looks like you in this family, much less one who's born into it.
What was actually going on? Almost unsurvivable sounds like there was a breaking point.
I just didn't see a solution.
When Meghan joined the royal family in 2018, she became the target of unrelenting, pervasive attacks.
Racist abuse online aimed at Meghan Markle. There were undeniable racist overtones. This stands apart from the kind of coverage we've seen of any other royal.
There was constant criticism, blatant sexist, racist remarks by British tabloids and internet trolls.
We have seen the racism towards her play out in real
Referring
life.
to her as straight out of Compton.
The daily onslaught of vitriol and condemnation from the UK press became overwhelming, and in Meghan's words, almost unsurvivable. You said in a podcast that it became almost unsurvivable. And that struck me because it sounds like you were in some kind of mental trouble. What was actually going on? Almost unsurvivable sounds like there was a breaking point.
Yeah, there was. I just didn't see a solution. I would sit up at night and I was just like, I don't understand how all of this is being churned out. And again, I wasn't seeing it, but it's almost worse when you feel it through the expression of my mom or my friends or them calling me crying, just like, Meg, they're not protecting you. And I realized that it was all happening just because I was breathing. And look, I was really ashamed to say it at the time, and ashamed to have to admit it to Harry, especially, because I know how much loss he suffered. But I knew that if I didn't say it, that I would do it. And I just didn't want to be alive anymore. And that was a very clear and real and frightening constant thought. And I remember how he just cradled me, and I went to the institution, and I said that I needed to go somewhere to get help, so that I've never felt this way before, and I need to go somewhere. And I was told that I couldn't, that it wouldn't be good for the institution. And I called.
So the institution is never a person, or is it a series of people?
No, it's a person.
It's a person.
It's several people, but I went to one of the most senior people just to get help. And that, I share this because there's so many people who are afraid to voice that they need help. And I know personally how hard it is to not just voice it, but when you voice it, to be told no. And so I went to Human Resources, and I said, I just realized I need help, because in my old job there was a union, and they would protect me. And I remember this conversation like it was yesterday, because they said, my heart goes out to you because I see how bad it is, but there's nothing we can do to protect you because you're not a paid employee of the institution. This wasn't a choice. This was emails and begging for help, saying very specifically, I'm concerned for my mental welfare. And people go, oh yes, it's disproportionately terrible what we see out there to anyone else, but nothing was ever done. So we had to find a solution.
Wow. I don't want to be alive anymore. That's
I thought it would have solved everything for everyone, right?
So were you thinking of harming yourself? Were you having suicidal thoughts?
Yes, this was very, very clear. Wow. Very clear and very scary. And I didn't know who to even turn to in that. And one of the people that I reached out to, who's continued to be a friend and confidant, was one of my husband's mom's best friends, one of Diana's best friends. Because who else could understand what's actually like on the inside?
Did you ever think about going to a hospital, or is that possible that you can check yourself in someplace?
No, that's what I was asking to do.
Yeah.
You can't just do that. I couldn't, call it Uber to the palace.
Yeah.
You couldn't just go. You have to understand as well, when I joined that family, that was the last time until we came here that I saw my passport, my driver's license, my keys, all that gets turned over. I didn't see any of that anymore.
Well, the way you're describing this, it's like you were trapped and couldn't get help, even though you're on the verge of suicide. That's what you are describing. That's what I'm hearing.
Yes.
And that would be an accurate interpretation. Yes.
That's the truth.
That's the truth.
If you think about, it was one of the things that it still haunts me is this photograph that someone had sent me. We had to go to an official event. We had to go to this event at the Royal Albert Hall. And a friend said, I know you don't look at pictures, but oh my God, you guys look so great.
Yeah.
And sent it to me, and I zoomed in, and what I saw was the truth of what that moment was, because right before we had to leave for that, I just had that conversation with Harry that morning, and it was the next day that I talked to the
Just a
institution.
conversation. I don't want to be alive anymore.
No, and it wasn't
And
I
you
want
put
to.
up- yeah.
It was like, these are the thoughts that I'm having in the middle of the night that are very clear, and I'm scared because this is very real. This isn't some abstract idea. This is methodical, and this is not who I am. But we had to go to this event. I remember him saying, I don't think you can go. And I said, I can't be left alone.
Because you were afraid of what you might do to yourself.
And we went. And
I'm so sorry to hear that.
And that picture, if you zoom in, what I see is how tightly his knuckles are gripped around mine. You can see the whites of our knuckles because we are smiling and doing our job, but we're both just trying to hold on. And every time those lights went down in that royal box, I was just weeping. And he was gripping my hand, and then it was, okay, intermission's coming, lights are about to come on, everyone's looking at us again, you have to just be on again.
Yeah.
And that's, I think, so important for people to remember, is you have no idea what's going on for someone behind closed doors. You have no idea. Even the people that smile the biggest smiles and shine the brightest lights, it seems, to have compassion for what's actually potentially going on.
No, the public is looking at you, and to think that you earlier in the day had said to Harry that you didn't want to be alive anymore.
And just hours before, just sitting on the steps in our cottage, just sitting there and then going, okay, well, go upstairs and put your makeup bag in your sink and try to pull yourself
Nobody should have
together.
to go through that. And you know, Harry and I are working on this mental health series for Apple. And so we hear a lot of these stories. Nobody should have to go through that.
It takes so much courage to admit that you need help.
Mm-hmm.
It takes so much courage to voice that. As I said, I was ashamed. I'm supposed to be stronger than that.
Mhm.
I don't want to put more on my husband's shoulders. He's carrying the weight of the world. I don't want to bring that to him. I bring solutions.
Mhm.
To admit that you need help, to admit how dark of a place you're in.
How do you feel about the palace hearing you speak your truth today? Are you afraid of a backlash or their reaction? You've said some pretty shocking things here, revealing.
I wasn't planning to say anything shocking. I'm just telling you what's happened.
Okay.
Sorry if I shocked you. It's been a lot.
I'm a little shocked.
It's been a lot.
How do you feel about the palace hearing you speak your truth today? Are you afraid of a backlash or their reaction?
I mean, I think I'm not going to live my life in fear. You know, I think so much of it is said with an understanding of just truth.
Mhm.
But I think to answer your question, I don't know how they could expect that after all of this time, we would still just be silent if there's an active role that the firm is playing in perpetuating falsehoods about us. That at a certain point you're going to go, you guys, someone just tell the truth. And if that comes with risk of losing things, I mean, I've lost. There's a lot that's been lost already, and I grieve a lot. I mean, I've lost my father. I lost a baby. I nearly lost my name. I mean, there's the loss of identity, but I'm still standing. And my hope for people in the takeaway from this is to know that there's another side, to know that life is worth living.
Okay. I'm so glad you see that now. We are going to take a break, y'all, and Harry's going to join us. We'll be right back with Harry. So when I asked the question, why did you leave? The simplest answer is, did you blindside the queen? So, hi.
Hello.
Thanks for joining us.
Thanks for having
You've
me.
been watching on the side?
Yeah, that's fine.
Yes. I want to say, first of all, let's say congratulations for the new addition to your family. Megan said she wanted to wait until you were here to tell us, is it a boy or is it a girl? You can tell her.
No, go for it.
No.
It's a girl.
Oh, yeah. You're going to have a daughter. Wow.
It's a girl.
And you realized that and saw it on the ultrasound. What was your first thought?
Amazing. Just grateful. Like, to have any child, any one or any two would be amazing, but to have a boy and then a girl, what more can you ask for? But now, you know, we've got a family. We've got, the four of us, our two dogs, and
Done.
it's great.
Done? Two is it?
Two is it.
Two is it. And when's the baby due?
It's summertime.
This summertime.
Yeah.
So you all have been living in sunny California now for
Since March.
since March. Okay. In late 2019, Prince Harry and Meghan left the UK and moved to Canada. The couple says they chose Canada, a Commonwealth of Britain, with the intention of continuing to serve the Queen. After their move, Harry and Meghan say security, normally provided by the royal family, was cut off. By March 2020, just days before the COVID lockdown began, Meghan, Harry, and Archie relocated to Los Angeles, where media mogul Tyler Perry offered them his home as a temporary refuge. He also provided security. 3 months later, they bought their own home and settled in the Santa Barbara area. Last spring, the Duke and Duchess of Sussex created their own foundation and media content company called Archwell. And so you stayed at Tyler Perry's house for several months.
Yeah, because we didn't have a plan. We needed a house, and he offered security as well, so it gave us breathing room to try to figure out what we were going to do.
The biggest concern was that while we were in Canada, in someone else's house, I then got told, short notice, that security was going to be removed. By this point, courtesy of the Daily Mail, the world knew our exact location. So suddenly it dawned on me, hang on a second, the borders could be closed. We have our security removed. Who knows how long lockdown's going to be? The world knows where we are. It's not safe. It's not secure. We probably need to
So
get out
what
of here.
security did you have at the time that was going to be removed?
We had our UK security.
So you got word from overseas that we're taking away your security. Why were they doing that?
Their justification is a change in status. With which I pushed back and said, was there a change of threat or risk? And after many weeks of waiting, eventually I got the confirmation that no, the risk and threat hasn't changed. But due to our change of status, which would no longer be official working members of the royal family, then obviously what we proposed was sort of part-time, what he said, much as we could do without being fully consumed because of, I think, what most of you guys covered already.
But we actually didn't talk about that. It's been so spun in the wrong direction, so we quit. We walked away. All the conversations of the 2 years before we finally announced it.
In January 2020, Prince Harry and Meghan announced they would step back as senior members of the royal family.
The swiftness with which they've taken this decision only 18 months after they got married has taken everyone by surprise from the Queen all the way down.
The bombshell news sparked a worldwide media frenzy, dubbed Megxit by the British press. Many reporters and viral posts blamed Meghan for the decision.
Meghan knew what she was signing up for.
She's being eviscerated. Harry, how is this message going to Peter?
In an official statement, Queen Elizabeth said, although we would have preferred them to remain full-time working members of the royal family, we respect and understand their wish to live a more independent life as a family while remaining a valued part of my family. Okay, let me ask the question. So over a year ago, you shocked the world. You announced that you're stepping back as senior members of the royal family. And then the media reported that you had blindsided the Queen, your grandmother. So here's a time to set the record straight. What was the tipping point that made you decide you had to leave?
I was desperate. I went to all the places which I thought I should go to ask for help. We both did, separately and together.
So you left because you were asking for help and couldn't get it?
But we never left.
we never left the family, and we only wanted to have the same type of role that exists, right? There's senior members of the family, and then there are non-senior members. We said specifically we're stepping back from senior roles to be just like several. I mean, I can think of so many right now who are all their Royal Highnesses, Prince or Princess, Duke or Duchess, who earn a living, live on palace grounds, can support the Queen if and when called upon. So we weren't reinventing the wheel here. We were saying, okay, if this isn't working for everyone, we're in a lot of pain. We can't provide us with the help that we need. We can just take a step back. We can do it in a Commonwealth country. We suggested New Zealand, South Africa,
Take a breath.
Canada.
Yeah. And you wanted to take a breath from what specifically? Let's be clear.
From this constant barrage. My biggest concern was history repeating itself. And I've said that before on numerous occasions very publicly. And what I was seeing was history repeating itself, but more perhaps, or definitely far more dangerous, because then you add race in, and you add social media in. When I'm talking about history repeating itself, I'm talking about my mother. When you can see something happening in the same kind of way, anybody would ask for help, ask the system which you are part of, especially when you know there's a relationship there that could help and share some truth, or call the dogs off, whatever you want to call it. So to receive no help at all and to be told continuously, this is how it is, this is just how it is, we've all been through it. And I think the biggest turning point for me was, it didn't take very long to actually right at the beginning, was, okay, this union, us, me being having a girlfriend, was going to be a thing. Of course it was. But I never expected, or I never
Because
thought...
she was mixed race?
No, just the two of us to start with. I hadn't really thought about the mixed race piece, because I thought, well, firstly, I've spent many years doing the work and doing my own learning. With my upbringing in the system in which I was brought up in, what I've been exposed to, I wasn't aware of it to start with. But my God, it doesn't take very long to suddenly become aware of it.
Yeah, because you said you really weren't aware of unconscious bias and what that represents until you met me.
Yeah, it's as it is to say, it takes living in her shoes, in this instance, for a day, or those first 8 days, to see where it was going to go, and how far they were going to take it.
And get away with it.
Get away with it, and be so blatant about it. That's the bit that shocked me. We're talking about the UK press here, right? And the UK is my home. That is where I was brought up. So yes, I've got my own relationship that goes back a long way with the media. I asked for calm from the British tabloids, once as a boyfriend, once as a husband, and then once as a father.
So when I asked the question, why did you leave? The simplest answer is
Lack of support and lack of understanding.
so I want clarity. Was the move about getting away from the UK press, because the press is everywhere, or was the move because you weren't getting enough support from the firm?
It was both.
Both. Did you blindside the Queen?
No. I never blindsided my grandmother. I have too much respect for her.
So where did that story come from?
I hazard a guess that it probably could have come from within the institution.
I remember we talked several times about this over
2 years.
2 years, but even the night before, days before, with the statement coming out, I remember that conversation.
So and how do you know she wasn't blindsided? Because the way it was presented through the press is that suddenly you made this announcement, she didn't know it was coming.
No, when we were in Canada, I had 3 conversations with my grandmother and 2 conversations with my father before he stopped taking my calls. And then said, can you put this all in writing, what your plan is?
Your father asked you to put it in writing.
Yeah, I asked him to put it in writing, and I put all the specifics in there, even the fact that we were planning on putting the announcement out on 7th of January.
So you just said that your dad stopped taking your calls. Why did he stop taking your calls?
Because I took matters, by that point I took matters into my own hands. It was like, I need to do this for my family. This is not a surprise to anybody, it's really sad that it's got to this point, but I've got to do something for my own mental health, for my wife's, and for Archie's as well, because I could see where this was headed.
I think what we really have got to clear up here is that you, Meghan, are the one who manipulated, calculated this Megxit.
Just sat back and not said that for so long. It just feels really.
You've been silent all this time.
Yeah.
It's been 3.5, 4 years, or longer actually.
We were saying, gosh, it must have been years ago, we were sitting in Nottingham Cottage, and The Little Mermaid came on. Now, who's an adult really watches The Little Mermaid? But it came on, and I was like, well, I'm here all the time, so maybe I'll watch this. And I went, oh my God. She falls in love with the prince, and because of that, she has to lose her voice. But by the end, she gets her voice back.
It's your voice back. And this is what happened here. Like you got your voice back. So you're stepping back out of frustration, and you just need to get out. And you heard Meghan share with us all the moment that she came to you, had the courage enough to say out loud, I don't want to live anymore. And you didn't know what to do.
I had no idea what to do. I wasn't prepared for that. I went into a very dark place as well. I wanted to be there for her.
So we did leave right at that moment, right?
Yeah.
We still, that's almost a year after.
So did you tell other people in the family, I need to get help for her, we need help for her?
That's just not a conversation that would be had.
Wow.
I guess I was ashamed of admitting it to them. I don't know whether they've had the same feelings or thoughts. I have no idea. It's a very trapping environment that a lot of them are stuck in.
You were ashamed of admitting that Meghan needed help.
Yeah.